Welcome to Business Innovators Radio, featuring industry influencers and trendsetters sharing proven strategies to help you build a better life right now.
Hello, everyone. How are you? Hope you're having an incredible day, and may peace be upon you. And welcome to the show with me, your host, Dr. Izdihar Jama, and to have a friend with me today, Josh Farley, who is the president and entrepreneur. And we're going to be talking about values in action, how cultures shapes customer first. Values in action, how customers shape how cultures shape customer first. So, Josh, welcome to the show and thank you for being here with me.
Hey, thanks for having me. Appreciate the time.
Great, thank you. Okay, so Josh, let's go straight to the point, right?
Sure.
Why is culture so important in an organization or in any business?
Well, I think it's not necessarily as important as what the culture is how you define it, right? So every business has a culture, just like every business has values. It's whether you define them or not and really give them a purpose. Once you have a solid culture, you can nurture that for a positive impact on your own team, let alone, and then that will go out to the customers. It's kind of twofold.
Yeah, so culture is one thing, but how you define them is a
Yeah.
different thing, right? So I feel like if you don't define them, it's going to create its own shape that may not necessarily be what is going to be of value or of service or the best thing for your organization or your customer. So let's talk us through about how do you then define a culture?
So I started with my values. I read Lencioni's The Advantage, and it spoke to me because it's talked about your company has values, whether you define them or not. And it's that line particularly. I looked around my team. I smoked. My whole team smoked. I had tattoos. My whole team had tattoos. I cursed a lot. All my team cursed a lot. And I started thinking, oh my gosh, we do have an undefined culture based on the values that I presented to the people that I was hiring. And I really did a deep soul search into what are my true values. And I realigned my values behind empathy, humility, and accountability, and put those first and foremost. And I ended up losing 90% of my staff within the next 3 months, but I backfilled them with people that aligned with those new values that I was putting out to the world.
Mhm.
Changed my life.
What was those values again that you realigned yourself to?
So humility, accountability, and empathy. So empathy, humility, and accountability, but we thought that was a little bit feminine.
Mm-hmm.
So, as a contractor, we kind of realigned that and reworded it into what we have as our mantra is sacrifice for others, move without fear, and own my outcomes. Because we are redline, and that's kind of what drives our culture is those values. So we hire and fire by those values. We reward by those values. We see somebody sacrificing for others or having empathy. We reward our team based on those. And if it's not the right fit, it's not the right fit. We'll write you a recommendation and wish you luck.
Brilliant. So do you want to talk through about each one very briefly, like an example of how an employee kind of embraced that value?
Sure. So empathy, we know what it feels like when somebody needs help. We need help, right? We know what it feels like. More so, we know what it feels like in the middle of the night when you're without power and you need somebody to get out of bed, right? So those are the things we see every week. We have an on-call technician. Just by being on call, our employees are showing that sacrifice for others and the empathy of, hey, I know these people need my help and I'm going to get out there and I'm going to help them. Doesn't mean you have to do it for free. It just means that we have to do it because we know, right?
Yeah, that's good. So empathy, like thinking about other people, being there to help other people.
Yeah.
But you also mentioned not necessarily doing it for free because that all can be laid out up front. Hey, we're providing the service of being on call,
Yep.
but this is, part of the package that comes with it,
Right.
kind of thing. And I feel like a lot of people, they may just want that have to have that peace of mind. If anything happens, especially when you're on a tight, urgent, complicated project, you want that peace of mind that you can just like pick up the phone and
Yep.
someone will take care of it. So that is the first value, empathy. What is the next one? What's an example that your company does for employees to embrace that value?
So we call it humility, but it's coupled with confidence. So it's being humble enough to raise your hand or pick up the phone saying, "Hey, I'm ran into something I haven't ran into before." Ask for help, and knowing that you have the confidence that your team's going to have the empathy to help you, right? So we've seen. I used to work at places where they throw you out there to the wolves, and you run into something you didn't know how to do, but you couldn't call your boss because they'd ridicule you, right? They'd be like, "What do you mean you don't know how to do that?" We're not that culture, so our culture is also education driven. So, it's important that they have humility to say, "Hey, I don't know what I'm doing here. I need some help."
Yeah, I don't know what I'm doing here. I need help. Also, for the other people, who say, yes, I can help you with it. And having humility on both sides, or like, no, you're just a pest, figure it out yourself. That's not
Right.
like, it's kind of like both ends of this. And also I feel like letting customers know that, hey, I don't know this part yet, but I'm going to figure it out. Give me like a day or so for me to
Yep.
figure, and I'll have an answer for you versus trinketing on things, and then it becomes worst for
Right.
the problems from it had started earlier. And what is the third value, Josh?
Accountability. It's when something goes wrong. It's not a matter of if something goes wrong. It's a matter of when something's going to go wrong. It doesn't matter, the scale of what went wrong, but it's like raising your hand. Just, hey, something happened. We either the tech messed up or the office didn't put the right notes in. Something happened along the lines and it didn't go exactly per our process. And it's just, hey, owning that outcome, right? We're going to make it right. We're going to tell you. We don't want anyone to find out something went wrong. We want to let them know as soon as possible. Um, and it rarely does that happen, but you're running late or you stop, you forgot something, you got to go back, just owning those outcomes. And that's what drives our culture here at Redline.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's not easy to do, like speaking the truth or taking accountability. Like, I remember when I was in La Jolla, it was breakfast time, and I was ordering like an omelet or something, like an egg omelet. So I ordered that. Okay, and then I went sit out, and as I wanted to eat it, I saw that there was meat in it. Like, I don't eat meat, only meat
Right.
that are halal, which is meat that's slaughtered by Muslim people. So I'm like, oh shoot, like, so I went over to the counter. I was like, I'm so sorry. I ordered this. It was my fault. I didn't check that it has meat in it. I was wondering if you can make me another one that, I'll be happy to pay for it because it was my mistake. Because I didn't check the ingredients when I was ordering. I didn't check that it was meat in it. I thought it was just eggs. So, the lady was like, okay, sure, we'll make you another one. They made it. And then when I said I pick it up, I said, okay, how much is it? So, don't worry about it.
Right.
Because some people they value honesty. And my friend Erin, who was with me, said, not a lot of people are gonna say they make mistakes. I was like, yeah, it's hard for me, just like just me, like I was the one who did not read the description of the ingredients. And like you were saying,
Most people would just say, "Oh, I ordered this without meat, but it's got meat in it," even though yeah.
yeah, it's got meat.
Interesting culture out there, I know.
I know it's so crazy there. And so those are the three values that you have, like empathy, accountability, and also, what was the other one? Empathy, accountability, and one more
Well,
was
it's empathy, humility, and accountability.
empathy, humility, and accountability. So,
Yeah.
and you mentioned that when you started to recalibrate to those values, a bunch of your existing employees left.
Yeah.
And
So we lost, yeah, 90% of our staff. 75% of them left voluntarily, and there was a few that we had to ask to leave because they just weren't aligned. Um, but looking back, I wish I had done it years sooner.
Hmm. Yeah, was it like a scary thing, Josh? Because like 90% of your employee left. Was it a scary thing, or was it like one of the things, like a bold thing? You mentioned that you wish you had done it sooner.
Mhm. Well, it's always scary to think that, you might not have guys to fulfill the promise to your clients.
Mhm.
Um, but the problems we were looking back now, right? Like we were talking earlier, rarely does a problem occur. And when it does, it feels like, wow, it's so upsetting because it very, very rarely happens. But before my values were defined, there were problems all the time. It was the culture of putting out fires and tackling one thing after another. But having those values and getting the right people just changed the ability, one, for me to change the rules as I go, as I started to get better processes in my business to, now we have people that are empathy to me growing and being able to adapt to what we're doing, versus some of the older mindset was, this is how we're going to do it forever.
Mm.
Want to change, they didn't want to move forward, they didn't want to, come into the 21st century or 22nd century, whatever people are calling it these days. So it was scary, but once you rip the Band-Aid off, the grass is greener, I'll tell you.
Yeah, and that's for any entrepreneurs or any business owner, that's the scary part, right? When you want to make a change.
Yeah.
And then when you want to make the change, and then it's going to affect a lot of things.
Yeah.
Fulfillment, one thing, finding the right people, another thing. Well, and even for me, sometimes there's a team member that I still hold on to because even though this team member makes so many mistakes, it's just easier than you know
Right.
than to find another person. Whereas whenever the mistake was made, it is 3 or 5 times more of my effort to
Yep.
correct. Like you were saying, like the culture of putting fires all the time, or
Correct.
double, triple checking the work when I don't. That's not my job to be double, triple checking thing. It should be
Right.
done. The super who is gonna, I call them the super who, is the one that's gonna get it done and get it done right. If they don't, they can ask questions for it.
Yep.
So what have you seen, Josh? Now that was, how many years ago was that?
Oh, it's going on nine to 10, almost 10 years. And we've been able to set goals and hit our goals and move forward. We landed on the Inc. 5000 list 5 years in a row as far as America's fastest growing companies. Some of those things, like you think about those three values, they're my core values. And then on top of that, we added three red line values, right? So we have sacrifice for others, move without fear, all my outcomes. That's empathy, humility, and accountability. Then we have knowledge of position, communication, and positive attitude. So all of those things combined really helped us set the bar. For us, communication is number one. Customers want somebody to answer the phone. They want to be responded to in a reasonable time. Everybody needs to have information to move forward. So those are paramount. And then education, we meet weekly and we talk about our trade and we learn something new. So those things just really took me from an accelerator type business, somewhere in the 700,000 range to, $5 million company. So you think about how little of change it really was, but the impact was it was far beyond measure.
Yeah, it's for being measured, and then those the values and recalibrating and having people who are aligned to the values, who's like, oh yeah, I'm in, and people who are not in alignment, they will deselect themselves.
Correct.
Like, this is not my thing, not my vibe. And what was your role, or how did you have your employees embracing those values?
So we put it on a mantra. We put it on our shirts. We put it on our trucks. We recite it Monday morning at our Monday morning all hands. We discuss them nonstop. Same thing with every new thing that what's the word I'm looking for, that we invent, right? Every new process that we come up with, every new thing that we bring to the team, disseminate, right? Everything that we disseminate down to the team, it takes practice.
Mhm.
Everything takes practice. So we practice those things. We remind people why we're doing what we're doing. Just like our benefits, every Monday morning, we remind people of the benefits that we have in case they forget or they're not using them. That's really, it's following up with our, the importance of sales, follow up, right? Follow up with our clients. We need to follow up with our team. We have to sell ourselves to our employees. So we're following up.
Yeah, I mean, that's a really good tagline. Like, you gotta sell to your employees too, right?
Yeah,
Like, they are in the same vision and the mantra. So it's like the repetition
right.
of reminding and discussion, the Monday morning discussion. And how have you seen, Josh, for this to translate to the customers, for these new values, the empathy, humility, and accountability translating into customers, either their satisfaction or the job, the quality of the job, or the revenue? How have you seen it translate into the customer's end?
So part of our process, we tell our customers what our values are. We get a lot of feedback. Listen, your guy was great. He owned an outcome here, or he was empathy to my plight here. We definitely hear that. We've also had the experience where we've let customers go because they don't align with our values, right? So our technicians are out there saying, hey, these customers are asking for me to not do this to code. They want to save some money because whatever reason, but they're asking me to do something that's illegal to our license. We just use those values to hire and fire our team and our customers. But we've also seen, we got them on our trucks. I get a lot of people saying, "Man, I love those values. I love them on your truck." Or they'll ask me what it means, and we'll have conversations about it. Everybody, it's great, great feedback.
Mm-hmm.
Not a
That
lot of contractors out here put values anywhere.
Yeah, no, they just usually drive their F-150 or F-250.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
Just bust through things, which is I think is great because that's what sets you apart and differentiate you in a way, like you said, have the momentum or acceleration
Yep.
that you have from, a high six-figure to a seven-figure kind of business there. So then let's talk about what is, the next step for your business because you're at this point now. What are you see some things that are happening to grow and expand your business? Because if you're not growing or expanding, you're going to be dying.
Sure. Yeah, I mean that's the thing. It's like a baby, right? If you're not growing, you're dying. Yeah, we talk about that too. The technology's changing. So every field, I assume, has technology and it's moving or impacting their business. Ours is data centers. A lot of energy is going now into technology, into AI. So, we're trying a couple new verticals. Talk around here is uh, thinking outside of the electric box, maybe a plumbing or HVAC, being able to pull them under our umbrella as far as our process, our values. That really is the framework for success in any vertical, I would say. And then I do still myself. I still perform commercial estimates. I have a handful of clients I like to work with. Um, but maybe I'd like to get out of that and move into a more of a marketing standpoint, maybe write a book, and then get more of an into the business development side,
Yeah, that is awesome. Getting more into the business development, strategy, marketing. So what
which
would
is where I spend most of my time. But you know,
Yeah, and that's something that not many entrepreneurs or contractors like yourself do, right? Because that is like if you number one, anything in business, the number one thing is revenue generation. If you don't have
or
revenue generation, no matter what you do, expense is always going to come out whether you have revenue or not. Like every month, it's like clockwork. So give a couple of tips to the entrepreneurs out there, and what is the best way to have a consistent revenue, but also an increase of revenue?
well, do what you say you're going to do, right? Do what you say you're going to do. Find the customers you want to do work for. Don't be a be all where you're trying to manage every single client in the market. You're not trying to make everybody happy, right? There's a client out there that you want, target that client and go after it, whether it's the type of work that you're going to be doing or the type of client that you're going to do. Um, for instance, we do commercial and residential service. We do electrical service in existing buildings. We don't do new construction. I don't work with a lot of general contractors, and that's not a target. I don't waste my time. When they call us up and ask us if we want to bid, we just say no, we don't.
Hmm.
But before I got to a place where I could start to figure out how do I maximize my efforts, my profits with my efforts, we wouldn't turn anything down. We would just take whatever we wanted. But we were spinning our wheels with the wrong clients. We had clients that were asking for so much. Before you know it, you're doing so much back end work, they're not even profitable anymore. Why are we doing this? Learning when to say no is also a good tip. But pick your target and go after it and be that niche, right? They say the riches are in the niches, but like literally tell people what you want to do. When somebody asks me what we do, I say we're an electrical contractor, work in existing businesses, and our targets commercial clients with multiple locations.
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
if somebody heard that, they're not going to send me a ground up residential new construction. They're just not going to do that.
Yeah, so you're focusing on your niche, right? That's it, because that's what you focus on. Everything that you've got everything you've got is invested in that, and you want to be known in that area. Because if you do
Right.
the commercial and the residential and the new up and the reconstruction and everything, you're gonna be spreading yourself thin. And I'm speaking even to myself, like, oh, I want to
Right.
do this and this and this, and like you said, and then soon you're like, what is the profit? There's no profit. You're even pumping in your own money in it because
Right.
you
And then you got employees with different skill sets that you can't use this guy over here and this guy can't work over here. And then you're juggling all around. It's hard to it's hard to say no. We get distracted. We see all the glitter and glam of, this morning I was having my leadership meeting and somebody mentioned there's a residential contractor with a great social media. And I'm like, well, that's not our target.
Oh, right.
TikTok, social media, it's really for homeowners. It's not our target. Do we do it if somebody calls this existing business? Yes, but it's not our target. So just don't get distracted. Just find your niche, focus on it, and dig deep.
Yeah, fine, and don't get the distraction kind of
Yeah,
things, right? Because there's so many things that you could be doing, and then you're kind of like spreading out thin, and also knowing where to play and how to play. That
correct.
is going to maximize your skill set, your experience, your revenue, and your potential. So I've heard like one of the dads mentioning, because my son abroad plays ice hockey, and one of the dad was like, in the pros the players would sharpen their skates, like they know all the ices around in the states, so they would sharpen their skates based on which ice they're going to play, because some ice are drier, some
Right.
some ices are wetter, some ices are in between, so the way your skates move and the way you handle the puck is
Mm.
different. So you really want to zone in and niche down and understand, like you said, yeah, the social media thing is not even your thing. And what I noticed as well, that you want to have the situational awareness. So we just came back from Nashville because my son had a ice hockey tournament there, and then I saw the puck, right, when the kids were passing to each other from our team, it just like bounced off the sticks, and I'm like the kids couldn't catch the puck. They just
Right.
started to bounce off. And then we were wondering what is going on. So they keep on missing the puck, and then the other team gets it. And we started to ask questions. They were like, oh, the ice here is drier, and the ice there is drier than the ice over here. So I said, uh-huh. So if you don't understand your niches,
Yeah.
you're going to lose the puck. You don't understand the ice. So that's so interesting that you brought that one up, Josh, in terms of, niche down and capitalize on that market.
Right. Well, it's a fascinating story. I didn't know that, right? And I wouldn't know that if I decided to get into that market, and then I would be the struggling guy trying to learn all these things. And yeah, you don't want to waste your time.
Yeah, I mean, there's a point where you have to learn. If you're starting out, then obviously you gotta put the effort to learn. But at your place, you've already, in a way, established in your area. So you just know if you're focusing on residential and commercial. Commercial clients is multiple existing properties for
Yep.
you to do the electrical. Okay, so let's wrap up with this, Josh. What are the do's and don'ts that people, when we speak about culture, when we speak about value, what's the biggest thing that people make mistakes on?
Oh, geez, there's so much. I think the lack of recognition, an employee, it's hard to remember what it feels like to be an employee, right? When you become an entrepreneur, you've always had a different mindset than other employee minds. Most employees like to be in their box. They want to stay and do the work that they were hired to do. But everybody wants to be appreciated. So I think there's been a lack of appreciation, especially in the trades here. Making sure that there's some recognition, some process or program for recognition, some intention to recognition. Thank you. Nice job. I can't believe I didn't do, I wish I would have thought of that. Those things go such a long way when it comes to morale and culture. I think that's one thing that's overlooked. Another thing is fire faster. It's hard. It's really hard to do. And you think to yourself, I'm going to keep this person until I find the person that's going to replace them. But that's you're hurting your culture. The more you let somebody that's not the right fit, because your employees know that that person is not a right fit before you do.
Mm.
And they watch, they see everything you do. They're listening to every word you say. And if you're talking about culture and how you hire and fire and do all the things, but you're not doing it, same thing as when your clients, if you don't do what you say you're going to do, they're going to leave.
Mm.
So if there's somebody that you're thinking is not the right fit, you should probably just let them go.
Yeah, fire faster.
You talked about it earlier. You're doing 1, 2, 3 checkups. You might as well just do the job.
Yeah, exactly. I might as well do the job instead of like spending an hour to write a detailed email on those steps, all the detail, and then still not getting it and still checking on it. So,
Well, she'll watch the podcast and then she'll self-select.
and like my friend Laura told me, she's like, you can't, she's a 1X. You're a
Right.
10X. You can't expect her to play the 10X. She is not that person. And
Right.
sometimes she's a -2X. So, and Laura was like, because I'm like, okay, Laura, she needs to do this and this. And like, no, you can't expect her to be that. I can get it, I can understand it, but not her. You cannot expect her to be a 10X when she is not. And that's what you're saying. When people are not aligned to your culture,
Yep.
let them go. Fire faster. You're being of service to yourself. You're being of service to them. And what you're saying that your employees, they're watching.
Yep.
They're watching. They know. And then they kind of like, oh, okay, right. This is happening. What's the boss going to do about it?
Right. And if you think your employees aren't smart enough to know, shame on you.
Yeah, I mean, you should hear the gossip that they talk about. So
Sure.
it is like they know, and sometimes it's just the guts that you have, or you having the balls to like take that
Right.
action.
Balls of steel.
That is like balls of steel. All right, Josh, thank you so much for having this conversation with me on values in action, how cultures shapes customer first, and the impact it can have on your organization, the impact it can have on your employee, how it translates to your customer. And do you want to remind everybody the 3 core values that you use? Obviously, everybody is different. You're more than welcome to choose the values that most align to you. But
Sure.
remind everybody again, what is your value?
Yeah, thanks again for having me. It was fun. So my values are empathy, humility, and accountability, which we put in a mantra: sacrifice for others, move without fear, and own your outcomes.
Brilliant. Thank you so much, Josh, for hanging out with me. And everybody, remember, it takes courage when you are afraid to take action of the hardest thing. The hardest thing to do is to take action when you know something is right. Like Josh said, fire faster. It takes courage to fire fast versus like hanging on. It's kind of relationship too and dating, isn't it, Josh? You know that person and still like hang on with them, but you know that the right fit and you're like still hanging on another year in that relationship. So fire faster. All right, everybody, take care. May peace be upon you. Like Josh, you want to say goodbye to everybody?
See you guys later. Thanks for having me.
Thanks for listening to Business Innovators Radio. To hear all episodes featuring leading industry influencers and trendsetters, visit us online at businessinnovatorsradio.com today.